to another episode of Legion Elite Motorsports. I'm your host Isaiah, as I lay down in front of the 3000 GT motor in all of its glory. Looks like lots and lots of fun. But yes, today's episode, I'm going to be introducing to you another project car that is actually giving me trouble. Imagine that. But so yeah, as I look into this glorious engine, let's get to it. All right, this is another episode of StarQuest Help. This is a 1985 flat body, Mitsubishi Starion, and this one actually, has been modified with the intercooler, whatnot. But this one actually is the car that I was heading out of state to do, and I didn't get to lay down too much video because of the time schedule and all of the headaches that went along with that schedule. But we worked some things out. We got the car here, and the car is on Microtech LT9C, just like my silver car. And we actually went to Georgia and we did a nice substantial amount of work, and let me show you what we did. So, as you can tell, a lot of work has been done, granted. Looking around, everything's looking nice. But let me show you what we've done. So that M9 head I showed you guys that was modified to delete the hot spots out of the chamber is right here. That was a customer's head that was purchased, and basically we put the head on. We used the Ajusa head gasket. That's AJ USA. Best head gasket known to man, at least for these engines. Then after that, we slid on a modified MPI. This is my first gen turbo manifold, custom made for this application. So instead of the wastegate being hidden around the exhaust area, I actually put it on the side so it can go directly to the exhaust, so there's no fireballs shooting, just a straight atmosphere. That's the plan for the owner. He's actually going to put the pipe from the wastegate to the exhaust. As soon as the exhaust is done, we're looking at a 3-inch down pipe, V-band connected, and it's just pointing straight to the ground. Of course, he's on the best suspension out for these cars at the best price, Legion Elite. And we also did the piping. We did the short route, quick boost, quick spool. Everything is excellent. Fuel pressure regulator. Of course, because this car is still under the knife, there's a lot of cleanup and wiring that needs to happen, which is completely understandable and okay. But we have a little issue, right? So basically, this car is running as if it's only running on 3 cylinders. So from there begins the troubleshooting. Okay, let me kind of point out a couple of things I've done. Okay, so of course we checked Spark. We checked 1 through 4, everything checks out perfect. We replaced the spark plugs, so those are brand new. We checked the gap on the spark plugs, those are perfect. After that, we went to the wires. We found some of them were broken, so I just threw on some I had laying around for now. That's why you see 2 orange and then 2 replaced. So did that. We also did the cap and rotor, so that checked out fine. We have MSD here also, because it's fuel only. We have that option to either add that or modify the distributor. We also put a temperature sensor here because we are a clutch fan. So the temperature reads through this instead of the original ones, which seem not to be working for some weird reason. So besides that, we have stepped to fuel. Okay, so on the fuel end, we had a weak fuel pump. Now the fuel pump itself is a Bosch 055 fuel pump, replaced with a Legion Elite Motorsports gas tank, because the original one was rusted out, including the line. So instead of the original lines, like, where did it go? These guys here, we have brand new lines ran to the rail. So we have brand new lines, brand new tank, brand new pump. So all of that's been done, and I'll show you guys a glimpse of the tank in a minute. But besides that, we have identical injectors, which were in the passenger seat that you've seen with the Microtech and the book. Identical injectors to my silver car. Those are Bosch 1700cc injectors, high impedance, right? So all of those were doing their job. The fuel pressure was at about 40 psi, which is perfect. I have a Noid light to check the connections, and I'm getting signal from each and every one of the injectors. And we tested the injectors with a little setup I have. Not going to show you guys that just yet, but basically what it is a gas can, intake fuel pump, battery, and a 3/8 feed line. So that gives it pretty much all of the pressure, and you know, you turn on and off the injector with the battery. So did that. All of the injectors passed the test and everything, and I changed the injectors to a smaller set, which I had on deck. They were some 1000cc ID injectors, and it ran exactly the same. Sounded like it had a miss. So what I did after that was I took out those injectors, and I'm going to put in the old injectors. I'm going to rewire them, and then we're going to just dive into the distributor. So after checking spark, after checking fuel, and both of those items check out perfectly, it's time to dive in on the distributor. The timing was already checked and adjusted to the proper setting. And that was actually perfect. Right where it needed to be, 10 degrees before top dead center. So just to give you guys an idea, when we were having the fuel pump issues and whatnot, basically the voltage dropped at the fuel pump and it was causing issues. As soon as we fixed that issue, the car was running perfect. I'm like, cool. So it was just a fuel pump issue. Because before, we were only getting about 20 PSI from the fuel pump. And then now, we're all the way up to 40, 45 area, which is perfect. So the difference that I was listening to in the engine is before, it would barely rev. And then as soon as we fixed that issue, it would rev real quick. Vroom, vroom, you know. So after the engine was running good and everything, we went to go take it for a drive. And we blew off an intercooler pipe. And after that, it started running funny again. So, basically going to narrow it down. The fact that it seems to be an electrical issue, not the computer, because I took the computer out and I plugged it into my silver car, turned on, drove it around. Perfect. No issue. But when I plug it into this car, it has that miss. So we dived into the wiring. Everything checked out. All of the numbers and voltage were perfect. And there's no cuts, no crimps or anything in the wires. So everything is loose right now, just to, diagnose what's going on. But next step is the distributor. We're going to just switch out the distributors just to see if anything changes. If not, we'll put this one back. And that's pretty much about it. So because we have MSD, this doesn't need to be connected. So if you have a bad one, you'll definitely be able to pick that one up. Yeah, that should be about it. But yeah, so just giving you guys an update on the diagnosis. We're actually going to touch bases with another car because some parts have come in, and we're going to kind of do both of them at the same time, but probably next episode. Right now it's kind of updating you guys on what's going on and why and all of that. So let's get to the next car. And there she is in all of her glory. This is the Gen 2 gas tank. So all of the accessories are up front and working perfectly. Okay, so on our 2005 Mitsubishi Lancer, I did a little bit more inspecting on it, and basically as soon as I turned on the engine, which it turned on no problem as soon as I added a battery. So I turned on the engine and immediately you hear rattling. It sounds like something's touching the inside of the transmission and, smoke and everything like that. But keeping in mind, this car's been sitting for a little over a year. And basically, because of that, and the clutch was changed at some point and never really ran after that. So all of the hand juices and grease and, from pulling everything apart is still there. All of the smoke and stuff is still burning off as if the clutch job was just done recently. So basically what I did was I turned on the car and I listened to it, and you hear a lot of rattling, which what sounds to be scraping and everything. But when I pushed on the clutch, all of the noise went away. And when I say all, I mean all of the noise. So I was able to, you know, turn on the air conditioning. Granted, there's no fans here. The AC was ice cold, which was perfect. And then after that, I was able to push in the clutch, make sure the noise, you know, went away, and I was able to rev the engine, and it had no issues revving at all and everything. So perfect. I believe the issue with this car is the throwout bearing. Again, because when I pushed the clutch, all of the noise went away. So what I'm gonna do before I yank off the transmission is I want to inspect the inside of the clutch area through here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a light on the subject and check for any scarring of the pressure plate. Once I check that, I actually am going to replace the clutch. So we're gonna go ahead and do a clutch job on this, make sure the throwout bearing is properly installed so it doesn't rattle and make chattering noises. And technically we should be good. And we can start assembling this car. And let me show you the clutch that I have for it. So this is a stage 2 street heavy duty pressure plate, white in color. And it of course comes with the alignment tool and throw out bearing. So checking this and everything to make sure nothing's damaged. It spins freely and everything's good. So gonna pop that sucker in there and we should have no problems. But I want to show you guys more of the parts that we have for this car about to go onto it. So let's do that. Okay, a little dark in here, but all right, so we have the fans, the factory fans, 2-piece. Okay, let's go this way. You have all of the plastics and everything for the intake, the grill, more intake stuff, more grill stuff. What else we got? All of the bolts and screws to all of the miscellaneous parts that's in here. All right. And then in this box, we have a brand new radiator in here, which you get the point, it's a radiator. Then we have brand new shocks. I'm not familiar with this company, but if it works, it works. And then we have tie rods, we have valve cover gasket, including the spark plug hole gaskets. But long story short, we have everything to make this car run like new. So just wanted to give you guys an update on that. And that's the open and shut case there. Okay, so definitely interesting scenario. We've also done some other things to kind of pinpoint some issues, like changing the coil, stuff like that. And nothing seemed to help, so definitely let me know in the comments what you think. Other methods I should try, and we'll kind of take that car from there. But until then, I'll see you next episode.